What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Another episode of the Sutton Sanctuary Podcast. We got another guest, a new guest, here with us today. He's an educator of our youth. He is the sports director at WRUL 97.3. If you haven't saw the face, I'm sure you've probably heard his voice. He is now, would you say, a journalist
You
for
could say that, yeah.
for the Pittsburgh Steelers at Steeler Nation, writing articles for Steeler Nation, and of course, the voice of the Carmi White County Bulldogs, Mr. Cole Carter.
It's a lot of hats.
What's up,
It's
man?
a lot of hats. How's it going?
Good, dude. Good. I appreciate you being here.
Hey, not a problem at all.
That's whenever I almost got a hold of you. I guess it was a couple months back, and I guess you had just had your baby, and so Briley was like, "Give it some time,"
I appreciate that.
yeah, I was like,
it was been a pretty crazy 3 months.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah. So newly just became a father for the first time.
Yeah.
What's that been like?
It's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I know that you're getting ready to experience that here in a couple of months, but it is like I ask me and my wife, we ask each other every day, like, what do we do before he got here?
Yeah.
Especially now that it's been summer, we've had time to spend with him. It's like our whole day revolves around like getting him out of bed and like you just like spending the day with him. Like our whole day revolves around him. And it's like, what do we do before we had him?
Yeah.
Because he is the best thing to ever happen to us.
Yeah. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, dude, I've been listening to you for a long time. How we mentioned there at the end that you're the voice of for the Carmi Bulldogs. How long have you been doing that?
So when I was in college, I filled in a little bit if there was somebody that was going to be gone, one of their announcers. But I've been the full-time sports director since 2022. So when I graduated college, moved back home, and I've been the sports director ever since.
I got you. Yeah, I know you're a huge Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I'm assuming have been all your life since day one.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah. I don't know that much about football. I see like the highlights and that kind of stuff, but just like growing up in North City, not playing football, I didn't like have the most amount of reason to really follow it. So not something I ever really got around to. But growing up, obviously a huge fan of sports. Did you know that one day you wanted to announce sports or something in the broadcasting world? Was that always kind of a goal?
So when everybody gets to that certain age where they kind of figure out that probably not going to make it as a professional athlete.
Sure.
So I think when I got to that point, I started thinking about what I want to do when I get older, and I think it was like either my junior or my senior year of high school. I was like, okay, I could probably make a living of this. I don't know. I mean, it's a lot to make it pretty far, but at least locally I could do something.
Sure.
Work for WRUL.
Yeah.
And then Jason Craig, I always give him major props because when I was in high school, he was the announcer. He was always welcome to have me join him on a broadcast or help him out or fill in for him if he ever needed me to. And that was kind of where I got started, and just kind of took off from there. Went to college for it. Everybody's always like, how do you go to school for radio broadcasting? Like, what do you learn? I was like, well, it's not really about what you learn. It's just getting experience. And so when I went to Wabash Valley, and then I transferred to USI.
Gotcha.
And at both places I was able to broadcast Division I athletics for them, but junior college athletics, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I got you. So you got your start out with helping and filling out with some of the colleges around before you even started doing. Is there a difference in broadcasting? Do you notice styles as far as like the quickness of the game?
Absolutely.
And staying up with it. Is that a huge difference?
Why I'm so happy that they're getting a shot clock in high school. I think not this coming season, but next year they're going to have it.
I think so, yeah.
And that just, especially like, probably different over here, like in Newburgh and Evansville area, and even if you go, in the Marions and Herons in Illinois, but like Light Diamond basketball, we're having a 90-second possession here, and that
you don't see that a lot over here.
You don't.
It's a lot.
As an announcer, that drives me crazy. Now the coaches, they do that for a reason, obviously.
Sure.
But, here's a pass back over there. Here's a pass. It's 7-5 in the third quarter, But I'm excited for a shot clock because announcing college basketball, it's so much more fast paced, and that's where I like the fast paced. I don't like a lot of downtime in between. That's why I'm not a fan of doing baseball. But
yeah, it's tough.
But that's why I think the shot clock comes in. It's going to be maybe a little more enjoyable to watch, at least from my perspective.
Yeah, I think so too. I know a lot of people, and I've spoke with a couple different people on the podcast and talked about the shot clock. And I don't hear too many objections to it. I think back whenever it started to get kind of tossed around, maybe a couple of years ago, at first, I heard more objection then. I think now, people are starting to realize, seeing this, the way the game is slowing down. And again, I understand coaches, playing within the rules and, doing whatever you can to win. And that's what it's all about. So I get that. But at the end of the day too, it's like, man, whenever teams scoring 6 points and a half or something like that, it's like, oh my goodness.
I see both sides to it because, when you are an underdog team, if you will, playing against a really tough team, you can play stall ball. That was more common back in the 80s, but you could play stall ball and try to win that way, and I think that's what they're trying to get away from. But and then if you are a team that's struggling, you'll really struggle with the shot clock, and that's we'll see that a lot, especially the first couple of years with teams all around just getting used to it, and they don't shoot the ball very great as is. It's not going to shoot it very well when they're having to rush it up in 35 seconds.
Yeah, that was kind of my stance. I think it's going to, especially maybe these guys that are on, the upper half of being, above average. Maybe they're not star level, but they might, they're better than 70% of the guys. I think these are the guys that might benefit from this. Yeah. I think a lot of these guys, sometimes the reason that some of these guys don't make it to that next level is because they are kind of slowed back by the dynamics of the offense they're being forced to run or whatever it is, however their team's playing. I think sometimes it slows them back. So I think speeding this up, some of these guys that are right there on that verge, I think it's going to play into their hands. And like you said, I think some of these guys, some of the teams that already struggle, it's going to be a rough transitioning period to figure it out. But, I think it gives coaches a chance to get creative and, dive into the playbook a little more. Yeah. And
I think it'll just be more exciting basketball in general, just because I hate the stall ball and then the long possession. So I think it'll a little more high scoring games when they get used to it, and then I think it'll be more entertaining too.
Yeah. Do you remember the first game that you ever broadcasted?
Oh Lord. That was a high school Carmi girls basketball game. I want to say my junior year, so that was 2017. I'm sure I was awful. I'm sure it was terrible. And there's even stuff that I look back 2 years ago and I was like, man, I sound terrible. I've always felt like the more you do it, the more smoother I've thought I've gotten and better. But yeah, those first couple of games, first couple of years, it's like, my gosh, it's not even worth listening or keeping and listening to for old time's sake. It's a hard listen.
Yeah, I get that with just doing these podcasts and stuff. Yeah. I've never went back and watched one. I tried to once, and I made it like maybe 10 minutes in, and I just couldn't. I was like, I can't watch. Hope someone else can watch it, but I was like, just watching myself on there is weird. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So once you got out of college, was your plan to? Did you want to go to broadcasting in college, or was that was it like a transition period where you said Jason was maybe getting out of it, and you were?
So the timing
was
really unique. So I actually I spent a year working at Wabash Valley College in Mount Carmel. I worked in their broadcasting department with the radio station and the TV station there. So I worked there for a year, and in broadcasting, it's a pretty cutthroat industry. It's if you want to make it big time to ESPN or whatever, you've got to kind of work your way up and know the right people and move to this location and that location. And it kind of just got to the point to where I really didn't want to do that. I didn't really want to move to Wisconsin and broadcast Division III women's soccer. Just because that's what you have to do.
Sure.
You just got to work your way up. And so I thought, I knew Carmi was looking for an announcer, and thought, let me just move back home, work at the radio station and just see what happens. And then I left my job at Wabash and went to education and haven't looked back since.
Yeah. Well, it only makes sense now.
Yeah.
looking back over the years, and you think about listening to the games, like I said, me and all basketball season, normally through volleyball, any games that are on, like we're tuning in.
Yeah.
Dude, I was thinking about just some of the games, like the jokes and stuff that make you and Travis, dude.
Yeah.
Just cracks me up. The jokes that you throw out there and like try to get a reaction out of Travis,
Yeah.
and he just, shout out Travis, man. He's funny.
Anyone who knows Travis, he's very
unamused.
I wouldn't say stale, but he's just, you got to know him to really know his personality. And I love that, when he first started doing games with me, he was kind of shy and quiet. And over time, he's kind of formed into that, partner of mine that's just annoyed with everything I say. And I always poke at him for that. Hopefully his voice is back this year. I don't know if you remember his voice.
Dude, he had a rough year, man. What was going on?
Sounded like he was eating gravel every day.
Yeah, what was happening?
So he coaches junior high baseball.
Oh, okay.
And it starts now as soon as school starts. And
I gotcha.
Just from coaching and teaching, it takes his voice out by the time November rolls around. So hopefully he's be better this basketball season.
Right. Damn, that's funny. So after you started with Carmi, do you remember your first game you did for the radio station?
So
what year was this roughly?
So 2022 is my first year.
What athletes are we talking about?
So we had a really good football team there. That was Isaac King's senior year.
Okay.
They started off
stud
undefeated.
running back.
Yep, stud running back. They started off undefeated and kind of tailed it at the end of the season. That was Bryce Connor's senior year.
Okay.
That really good basketball season. They won 20 some odd games.
Yeah.
That was my first year, and that was a really fun year. And that was just cool to be back because it had been 3 or 4 years since I had really followed Carmi sports because went to college and then COVID was all weird with Illinois high school sports, and so that was kind of the first normal year in a while, and it was cool to follow along because it was just a really successful season, school year all along, and that's something I've been blessed with. Is pretty much every team we've had since I've been back has been really good. Volleyball has went to state, football's made the playoffs every year, basketball's had some 20-win seasons, and so that's been pretty fun.
Yeah, I remember Bryce and all them senior year. I'm trying to think. We probably still been. I think we were still living in Carmi, so yeah, we were still making it to a lot of the games. That was a fun season. I'm trying to remember how far did that team? Did they win a regional that year?
They didn't.
They didn't.
And people.
Did they run into Vienna or somebody?
Yeah, we haven't won a regional since '99, and that kind of
really that always blows people's mind. Whenever you think about the teams that Carmi's had, but that just goes to say a lot about the area's competition that it's had.
2A basketball is really good, and it's about to get better because they've expanded the enrollments.
They just
so
reclassified.
You've got Heron coming into 2A.
Yeah.
You've got Effingham.
Heron's tough.
Salem,
man.
Maybe.
They still got that kid at Heron.
No, he finally graduated. Kid.
Yeah, 10 years later.
He's been the EHT MVP
Dude,
6 years in a row.
He is.
But yeah, he is probably the best guard I've seen Carmi play in the last half decade or so. So yes, he finally graduated. So that's one less player we got to worry about. But no, he was good. But no, 2A basketball, and people, well, how come Carmi hasn't won a regional in a long time? Well, when you get stuck playing Benton and Vienna and Carterville in your regional every year, it's Massac County. It's it's not how it used to be when it was a 2-class system. When it was Carmi, Grayville, Norris City, maybe McLeansboro, Crossville, infield in the same. And so it's a lot harder to win a regional nowadays in any sport.
Yeah, there's been a lot of we get into all kinds of different teams that have stud guys over the years, especially at the 2A level. I'm trying to think that is because whenever you think about being since '99 since they've won a regional, even like the 4 years what year did you graduate?
2018.
18, so you were 2 years younger than me.
Yep.
So, yeah, even your senior class up through the guys that were 2 years older than you.
Because we had a really good group your senior year. That was Tucker Gray, which I saw he was in here last week. Drew Lucas, Zach Vaught, those guys.
Tyler Barbary.
They were a really good team, but again, played Carterville in the regional championship. That's twice their enrollment. So it's just, it's hard to compete when you're going up against teams that have 700 kids when you're a school of 300, 350, or 400 like it is now.
Yeah, that is. What do you think as far as the idea about just, do you think it's seeing an overall decline in talent as compared to what you think like talent was like whenever we were in high school?
I I hear that argument a lot, and I think it just depends, because there were some years where I can recall, like football, for example, my sophomore year, we went 3-6, but the conference that year, I mean, there was a kid from Chester that went and played 4 years at SIU and played in the CFL, and then Fairfield was really good that year, El Dorado was really good that year, and then even into basketball. I mean, I see what you're saying. I just think we're just kind of, because there's some years where schools have really good runs of 3 or 4 years of good athletes. And for example, Carmi, we're kind of getting towards the end of a really good run of 3 or 4 years of good athletes. And so I think it just kind of depends on, what part of a run you're in, because some schools, they've going on 5 or 6 years of just not really having a whole lot. And so that's kind of where that thought comes in. But I don't know. It's a tricky, I see where people would think that. But there's been a lot of good athletes really in the last 10 years for a lot of teams around here.
Yeah, I think one thing I notice, it seems like every time I go over there and like go to the EHT or, it seems like a size difference.
Yeah,
is one thing that always sticks out to me. You always have, you always have your good guards.
Yeah.
Any team that's decent, it seems like in today's game, has good guards. You don't see a lot of teams that are good competing at high levels without a decent 1 or 2 guard.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a fair argument most of the time.
Yeah.
But I remember like back whenever, we were in school, like there was a lot of big kids playing against a lot of guys with size. Like EHT, you were seeing tons of guys over 6'5". Every team had guys that were like 6'8". West Frankfort was always known to have big kids. Obviously, Gallatin County, if you want to talk about bigs, one of the best big in the area probably to ever play in this area for his size. But that's what it just seems like their kids are just smaller.
Yeah,
like, you're just not seeing those guys as big like that.
And that goes for all sports as well. I mean, remember, you look at kind of our football team and some of our young guys that are getting to play. They're small guys, and I'm not sure what correlates to that really. But you're right. You don't really see a lot of the Andrew Drones around. There's not a lot of 7-footers anyway. But it seemed like back then, 6, 7, 10 years ago, everybody had 1'6'3" that was an offensive lineman, if you will, out there playing center, and you really don't get that a whole lot anymore because I think that's part of it's more fast paced now, especially like over in the river to river side. Like we mentioned with Harrisburg and Heron and those schools, it's a lot more up and down. You don't really see a lot of post up or things like that anymore. So I would agree with you there. It's definitely different in terms of that aspect of it.
That's a good point to make too. I've seen some, now that I think about it, I can't think of exact teams, but in today's, or maybe these teams, they do have guys that are big, and you see them on the end of the bench.
Yeah.
And they're not playing. Yeah. And then, like, they'll call a timeout, and it always catch my attention. This kid that's, like, 6'7", gets up off the bench and runs into the huddle. I'm like, hey, hold on a second. Yeah. Like, especially teams that aren't even, like, aren't too good, and they have this really big kid, and I'm like, hey, what can it hurt? Just to stand under the basket to be as big as he is, like, something's got to happen.
Yeah. I think it's style of play and tempo, because especially EHT, where you got a lot of teams at full court press. And if you throw, a big guy in there who might not be in the best shape, and you're constantly playing 4-on-5, it's going to hurt. Yeah. So I think that's probably the biggest thing. I would guess is the biggest change in that.
Yeah, I was glad to see Harrisburg just did their court recognition.
Yeah.
The Brandy Smith Peters, that was cool, because that was kind of a sour deal there for a minute, how that whole kind of, he got rooted out or whatever happened. I don't know any of the details on that.
I don't really either.
Just from what I was seeing online and reading online, it didn't seem like it was the smoothest outing for him. So that was cool to see them come back and do that. So you, switching gears over, you just started a new job on the side. Yeah. You're officially a writer for Steeler Nation. How cool is that? Of seeing, I was looking, and it seems like you and your dad longtime Steelers fans. You know, I know what that's like growing up. Me and my dad, you know, diehard Cardinals fans. I was just thinking back to some of those memories growing up of like watching, was it 2011 David Freese in the World Series, and I remember like my sisters were already in bed, asleep. My mom's already in bed asleep, and it's just me and Dad up. You know, we had the TV turned down. You know, many a nights in front of the TV. You know, just
How far have the Cardinals fallen off since then? Isn't it sad?
it's tough.
It's awful.
No, there's no one even at the games.
No,
They
it's
can't even
awful.
fill the stands anymore, and you know, it's like I don't really blame them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah, just like I was thinking about those types of memories. You know, I remember hitting those home runs and running down the hallway, and you know, and then as I was looking through some of your stuff, seeing that it seems like you and your dad kind of had probably similar experiences.
Yeah.
Watching the Steelers play.
Yeah. So we take a trip every year. We go to Pittsburgh, me and my dad, once a year to go see a game, and it's just ever since I was about 8 or 9 when I started, following sports and following the Steelers, and it's just become like just a hobby for me, just to follow them. And so it was when the opportunity came up to write for Steeler Nation, that was just kind of like almost like a dream come true, because it's always been a dream of mine to write for them or just cover them in some capacity. And so that's a really neat side hustle for me to get just on the weekends, but still just kind of feel like to be a part of the Steeler media, if you will.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's yeah, not a lot of people, especially in sports, that don't get opportunities like that to, even just to crack the surface and to get into that high level of sports media, but then to also do it with the team that you love.
Yeah,
that's a whole different. I'm sure for you, it's not really like work. It's kind of like I already follow this anyway. Like I was already doing this anyway.
I did learn that at that level there's a lot more guidelines and grammar things you got to follow compared to just something small town. But other than that, you're right. It is just it doesn't really feel like work, because it's things that I know and that I talk about and think about. So just putting that onto paper and then seeing the results from it is pretty cool.
Yeah. So what gets you any perks? Are you gonna get in there and meet with the team, or what?
I don't know. It's because they're not. It's not.
Is there a next step? I guess so now you're writing you're doing the articles.
It's not like affiliated with the Steelers, but it's a Steelers media. So
okay.
Or a Steelers website, if you will. So there is some for the guys that work for them that live in Pittsburgh. There is some access to press, interviews and stuff like that. Or right now during training camp, we got some guys there shooting pictures and video and whatnot. So there are some perks, but for me being 8 hours away, there's only so much I can do.
Right.
But when I take a trip up there, we'll see what, maybe I could, I don't know, see what happens. But
yeah, how far out are we from football season? Is coming up, isn't it?
So preseason's this week. So there's 3 preseason games, and then first regular season is, I think, Labor Day weekend, or the weekend after Labor Day weekend. So it's getting here.
Yeah, I read your first article. I saw that we've made some moves in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
There's been some action happening.
Yeah, got Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, yeah.
41-year-old Aaron Rodgers.
Dude, he's what I see him like on podcasts now and stuff. So I just assume I'm like, oh, is he retired? Like it seems like that's what retired people do. They're like hitting up all the podcasts now. Yeah. Where's he been at all these years? I feel like
he played in Green Bay for 18 years, I think, whatever it was, and then he went to the Jets, and it was like a big deal. Traded the Jets, and then like fourth play, he tears his Achilles, done for the year. So he played there 2 years, but really only 1 year. Wasn't that great. Looked better at the end of the season last year, so we'll see. I'm if he comes out and plays great, awesome. If he doesn't play great, it is what it is. We'll draft a quarterback, but I'm excited. Right. I love football season, NFL, college. That's my weekends. That's what it consists of, Saturday and Sunday. So I'm ready for that.
What is your favorite sport to cover? Just it makes you the most excited.
I would say football, and that's just because basketball is just such a long season, and I love covering basketball. It's fun. I think it's the most energizing sport to do. but it's just such a long season. I mean, we start in November, and it goes all the way through February. And
that stretch after the EHTs.
It's 3 or 4 nights a week, and it's a lot, especially EHT, like you said, 26 games in 3 days. But I enjoy it, and it's exciting, obviously, you know, with the kids that Carmi's had over the last couple of years. It's been pretty exciting. But I like football just because it's one night a week, and I can devote all of my, you know, weekly prep to one game and you know, have a lot of build up for that. And I love football, so it's exciting.
Yeah.
So I enjoy doing that.
Was football your sport?
Yeah.
Is that what it planned as far as going up? Did you use a football guy?
Yeah, that was kind of the first sport that I fell in love with was football, and then it's carried over.
Yeah. Did you play other sports in high school?
So
you were a little younger than I was, and I don't know back then. I don't know how it was for your guys' class, but for us, you know, in high school, the Carmi North City rivalry was very real.
Yeah.
Whenever I was in school, man, it was very real. I don't know if that's still a thing.
There were some big games, like some exciting games back then. I think your senior year, like
you guys brought the bus, dude.
Oh yeah, that's what's always fun.
That was probably one of the most energetic games I played in my whole career. Was that one my senior year?
You guys blew like a 20-point lead or something like that.
I think we were up 12 at halftime.
12-20, same thing, you know.
Yeah, I don't think we were ever up 20 on them. That would surprise me if we were. I'm not trying to. Maybe we did blow by 20, but it really would surprise me if we were up 20 on them because we were not expected we weren't expected to beat them, which we didn't. But I mean, they were better than we were. I mean, they were big. Yeah. You know, they were 6'4", 6'6", like guards that could play. You know, that was always hated playing them because they just had like the hard-nosed man-to-man defense, and like I always had Stubbs or somebody, dude, just in my face,
in your grill the whole night.
Dude. Yeah. From the second that game would start, man, he was just, I swear, sometimes I'd be down there and they was on offense and I thought he was still guarding me. I was like, bro, you guys have the ball, you know? No, but, yeah, that was, damn, that's funny. I remember that we blew that game.
But to answer so I played football all 4 years, and then I played basketball until my senior year, and then that's where when I started getting into broadcasting, we streamed some of the basketball games on, I think, might have been YouTube, I'm not sure, and then I played tennis. I was a tennis player back in the day.
Heck yeah, man.
Tennis is fun.
Yeah.
Are you a pickleball guy?
I'm not. Not that I haven't played, but I just not like regularly. No.
Yeah. It's very similar. That's where I've played pickleball a little bit, but it's from playing tennis is where I kind of, you know, it's very similar.
Yeah. Yeah. Most people that kind of hate on tennis have never really played, like, they probably only ever maybe went out there and just like smashed some tennis balls as hard as they can. You know, they've never to actually try to play the game and like keeping it in the squares and like, and then once you try to get a little better and like hitting a little harder and like and then you start imagining these pros are out here serving it at what, like 120 or something. Like,
well, what's really tough about playing tennis in Carmi, we were terrible. It's funny because my freshman and sophomore year, they didn't have the team. And they brought it back my junior year. So everybody that played my junior year, none of us had even picked up a racket before. So we were terrible. But it also stunk because, you know, a lot of the schools in Southern Illinois that have tennis, our schedule was Carbondale, Heron, Marion, Centralia. So we're playing these big schools.
Yeah, that have been playing for years.
And it's you don't have in those schools. You don't have a whole lot of like 2-3 sport athletes. Yeah. So you have these kids that they play tennis. Yeah. And they play tennis 365 days a year. And so you've got me out there going against this dude that's going to go play at Illinois or something. I don't know. But but they've gotten better. We had a pretty good tennis team a couple years ago. I think that like broke the school record for wins. But yeah, it was fun. Even though we got our butts kicked, it was fun.
Yeah, man, that was you know, I wish that they would really think about throwing in some men's volleyball. I could get behind that.
Yeah, that would be intense.
I think so.
You ever seen like the even college level?
unreal. And I love a good game of volleyball, man. They used to do every year at school, like the spring fling, like the Friday before you get out for spring break, and we would have like these school games, class games, all that stuff, you know.
So before this would be my second year teaching at Carmi. I taught at Gallatin County. I taught PE for a year down there.
Gotcha.
And I loved playing volleyball.
I mean, all my family's in Gallatin County, half of them down there, so I'm familiar.
Yeah. We'd play a lot of once or twice a week, play volleyball, and of course I'd get out there and play against the kids. I'd spike it on the kids. I don't care. It was so much fun.
Yeah, did you ever have any run-ins with old Pat Kester out there?
Oh yeah, love old Pat.
Yeah,
he's an awesome guy.
Those are my cousins. That's their dad. So yeah, old Pat. Yeah, I just saw him 2 weekends ago or something. Yeah, I love Pat. So, yeah, he's getting ready to be out there. He'll be starting buses up pretty soon. Yeah. So
that and it's I don't know how close he is to retirement, but whenever he does retire, I don't know how that place is going to run. I mean, he's a do-it-all guy there. He's a super awesome guy. Yeah. I really enjoyed being at Gallatin County. I mean, I love my job at Carmi, but Gallatin County is a pretty good school. It's a really good school. I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
What kind of influenced you to make that change to come back to Carmi? I'm sure it had to be just easier on your schedule.
But it was a tough because it was about this time a year ago. So it was like end of July. So Gallatin, it was like 2 weeks before Gallatin started school, and I got a call from Carmi. They had an opening come up, and it was a really tough decision. But it was kind of a no-brainer. Like it was like, man, I really don't want to leave Gallatin, but Carmi is my home. I live 3 minutes away from school. I just bought a truck, so my truck life, increased a lot. Not driving 30 minutes every day there and back, and then just being around the kids and the athletes, and that makes a big difference as far as doing games. When I broadcast now, I know the kids. I see them in the hallway or I have them in class, and I kind of get to know their personality a little bit, and I can make pointers about them during a game and. That's the best part about it, and I feel like I've really gotten close with a lot of the kids that I have in class or broadcast their games for, which has been cool.
Yeah, I think I think that's noticeable in listening to you broadcast games. I think the confidence in which you're able to announce games. Yep. That doesn't come from someone that's doesn't really care or doesn't really understand these kids and. Kind of like we mentioned earlier, looking back now, it's like, well, if you weren't doing it, it's like you can't even imagine if it wasn't Cole Carter.
Yeah, well, and that's a good point. Like, I do really care about the kids, and that's it'd be hard to do what I do if I didn't care about the kids. I mean, you're talking, 9 football games, 20 volleyball games, 60 basketball games with boys and girls. Like that's a lot for someone to just stroll up and. Oh, I don't care about these kids or about these coaches, players, whatever. Yeah. That person would just hate their life all the time. But
definitely.
And so, me knowing these kids and being so close to these coaches, that's what really helps me drive to do what I do because, these kids, I want these kids to have memories to look back on, be able to watch old games and stuff like that. And these kids deserve the recognition that they have earned. And so that's what kind of helps me drive to keep doing what I do.
Yeah. It well, it brings it just brings excitement, I think, to the whole thing, right? Yeah. Whenever because like I said, it's just like a whole community thing, and I know everyone's been in support of what you guys are doing as far as the games, broadcasting them, and everyone loves it. It just all seems like it's been a really good fit for everybody. We could run through some different sports here. Looking back, like over basketball, though, what's one game that really stands out to you that if someone was to ask you, like, what's maybe your favorite game that you broadcasted, or one of the wildest moments that you were there and got to see? Mm-hmm. Is there like a game or a moment?
It's tough. There's been a lot.
Over the last couple of years, there's been a couple of different athletes that have given some star-studded performances over the year.
I mean, it was really cool. Just to watch Mitchell Edwards. I mean, I got there his sophomore year. Just to watch him. I mean, if you look statistically, he is the best boys basketball player Carmi's ever had. Mm-hmm. I know there were some guys in the 80s and 90s that were really good, but not a lot of them could dunk and shoot from the volleyball line. And so just to I mean, that's like I said, we never had someone that athletic that could do that, and just to be there front row for that was pretty cool. As far as one game, that's tough because there's so many and I forget a lot of them. Geez, I don't know.
I'm trying to think of some of the wildest ones, some of the wilder moments. I was there for that game. I think maybe they was playing Thompsonville, Mitchell's junior year, and he had that dunk. He jumped over that kid. It was like a Saturday game.
Oh gosh!
And it was like the week right before regionals.
Anna Jonesboro.
Yes. I knew it was like a blue and white team.
Yeah.
Anna Jonesboro. That might have been the nastiest high school dunk I've ever.
From a sophomore. And I was so mad about that because we had internet problems on the stream that day.
Up.
And I'm kidding. And like, it might have skipped a little bit throughout the game, but I'm not kidding. Yeah. Right when he got the ball, if you go back and watch it, like he catches the ball at half court, and then the next thing you know, like he's standing over the kid, and there's technical.
Teed him up. Yeah.
But no, I mean, and Bryce Connor too. That same year, just those two. That was a lot of fun to watch, and it had been a while since Carmi basketball was like that exciting. I think because COVID was right before that, and so people weren't coming to games for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And it had been a while since we had a really good team, but man, that place. I remember I would show up for a game before the JV game started, and I was having to park down the road at Dairy Queen just because you couldn't get in, and that was the first time in a while that gym had felt with that kind of an environment, and that was really cool.
I remember that. That's I think we was living over there, right there by the high school at the time. I think, and I remember we would just walk from the house down there to the games, but you would have to get there like halftime of the JV game.
Yeah. Oh, if not earlier.
If you wanted to find somewhere to sit, like on Carmi's side.
Yeah.
That team, that might have been some of the most exciting basketball in the area that the area had for a while. That was an exciting year. Who else was it? That was I'm trying to think, because that whole year I feel like the competition was pretty solid all around. I'm trying to think of who else some of them other schools would have had in the area. Man, it was tough. North City the year that had Joe and all them boys.
Their best year.
Maybe the best year that North City's had since I don't even know when.
Yeah. I remember when that team, all that group, their junior year. So that would have been like 2019, 2020. I remember watching them at the EHT, and I was like, this team might be playing in the third place or consolation, but I'm like, that team plays as a group, and I remember they were really fun to watch. That group that they had like 6 or 7 guys that were all in the same class. That was a fun group to watch.
Yeah,
I remember that COVID year they were ranked top 10 in the state at one point. But then didn't get to do anything because COVID in the postseason and everything was canceled. But
what did they do? Is that they just did regionals that year?
They didn't do anything.
But they let the season end though, right?
Yeah, so it was really weird. In the fall, because man, I wasn't living in Carmi. I was in college, so I think in the fall they might have had golf, maybe, and then I remember in the spring it was basketball for like a month and a half, and it was like you played as many games as you could in this little 6-week span, and then right after that it was volleyball and football in the spring. It was so weird.
Yeah,
it was such a weird thing. But no, there was no volleyball postseason, there was no basketball postseason, no football postseason. It was. I'm glad that I was out of school before that happened, because I would hate that as a senior.
I couldn't imagine
having that. And I had some friends that were in school, seniors at that time, and just felt bad for them because not only did they not get a postseason, but they could only have, I think, one person maybe got like 2 tickets for a game. So you gave one to your mom, one to your dad, maybe another one for maybe 3 tickets. But it was like, there was nobody there.
Yeah.
That was awful. I hope we never have to do anything like that ever again.
I had them all playing in masks, and that was crazy.
Yeah,
it like everyone just wearing them under their chin. I was just like, what are we doing?
It's like I'm gonna body up against this guy. We're both drenched in sweat, but I'm gonna make sure that I got this mask on.
Yeah, that was a wild time. Yeah, I hope
we don't have to ever have something like that happen again.
No, never. Um, yeah. So what else, man? What else besides just broadcasting? What else? I know you just had a baby. What else do you enjoy to do?
Man,
What's Cole Carter enjoying to do?
gosh,
Sports.
put me on the spot. Just spending time with friends and family. That's a big thing for me, especially my wife, her family as well. We try to, anytime we have a weekend where we're not going somewhere or have a game or something, we'll, go see my mom and dad or go see her mom and dad. Spend time with her. Her family's pretty big. Both of her parents have a lot of siblings, so we'll go see them or just hang out with some friends. But yeah, it's really about it. We're pretty simple. And another part of that is, especially during the school year, if it's a Friday night where I don't have a basketball or football game, I just kind of want to relax. Like it's such a busy week. Weeks are so busy sometimes that there's nights where, man, I just want to go to bed at 7:00 and just sleep.
Yeah.
But during the summer, it's been nice because it has been pretty relaxed, and we've been able to spend time with our son and just kind of relax and then do whatever we want to do during these last few months. But it's going to get busy here in the next couple of weeks, and so we'll be sure to enjoy whatever free time we get.
Yeah, what's that vision look like whenever you get the boy all coached up and grown, and we get to announce his games one of these days?
That will be I don't want to think about that because he's already growing up too fast. He turned 3 months a week from today. Last Tuesday, he turned 3 months old, and it's like, dude, stop growing. It's like every time I look at him, he's getting bigger.
Yeah.
He's already, I think today we realized that he needs to bump up his clothes. He was in 0 to 3. Now he's in 3 to 6. So it's it's flying.
Yeah, I'm going to catch him outside trying to start the car here in a couple of weeks, dude. Hearing the front door unlock, he's going to be going to get some groceries.
It's flying by, but it's awesome. But I try not to think about, like the other day I told my wife, I was like, we go back to school next week, and we're going to have to drop him off to the babysitter or whatnot. And I think she started crying. She was like, don't talk to me about that. I was like, all right, well, we'll talk about it later. But
What's been one of your biggest, shocks? Is there anything as far as being a dad that you thought maybe you were prepared for? Turns out maybe you weren't.
It's weird because I really had never been around babies. Like I had an older sister, didn't have any siblings below me. Mm-hmm. My cousins had kids, but didn't change their diapers. Like I never changed a diaper before.
Yeah.
And it's just weird that and you'll experience this, as soon as you become a dad, it just comes natural. It's so weird. I don't know how to explain it.
I've been having similar conversations with Briley. Briley's been, worried about the birth and all these things, and it's like, well, I don't know. I've never really done it either, So, it's like, but at the same time, there's a part of me that feels like, and what I've kind of told her is, I think once that moment comes, you'll just know what to do.
Yeah, and it's weird because, like I said, I never really been around newborn babies and had no idea what to expect, no idea what to do, but just for some reason, as soon as he got here, and we just kind of both kind of felt like we knew what we were doing, but we didn't know what we were doing. We just kind of felt this, I don't a comfort to it in a way. I really don't know how to explain it. And it's one of those things that you really can't explain unless you kind of go through it. I will tell you though, but we were at the hospital he was born on a Tuesday. We came home on Thursday. And it's like when you get in the car and you leave the hospital, it's like, oh my God.
You feel like you're the first time 16, you just got your license.
It's like I'm going 10 miles under the speed limit. I'm coming to a complete stop. But it's just, and then you get home and it's like, what do we do? But then here we are 3 months later and we don't know what we did without him. So it's an awesome experience, and I'm so excited that you guys get to experience that. But it can be scary, and we've been very fortunate. He's been an awesome baby, but it can be very scary, and there'll be some tough nights when you're trying to get things figured out. But I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's what I agree. You hear people, spending all this time online and trying to figure things out and learn about it. And part of me is like, that's all good and well, but I feel like, I think the older that I get, the more I kind of come to the conclusion that we're all there is no such thing as adults. We're all just babies that just grow bigger, and that's it. We all, we're still just these big babies that whine and need to be fed and like, nothing, it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, part of me just feels like, especially whenever, you're with someone that, you love and like if you guys have a good relationship and it's
and that's the big, I mean, like single parents, like, man, I don't know how they do it. And like, if I didn't have Whitney, I hope that she feels the same way about me, that if she didn't have me, that she'd be lost.
Sure.
In this aspect of it, because you got to be a team. There's so many things that, you can't do it all by yourself, and rather it's taking turns to get up at night or just being there for one another, because it's a lot mentally. And so just to have someone there to do it together, it means the world.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing for a lot of people, and a lot of life experiences is just knowing that you have someone there. Because whenever you have someone there, especially someone that you're confident with and have a good relationship with, you kind of feel like, there's not much that you couldn't figure out.
Yeah.
Maybe we're not perfect at it at the beginning, but like everyone's going to survive.
Yeah.
And like, like the sun will rise tomorrow and we're going to do it again.
Yeah.
And we're going to try it again.
Yeah.
Man, that's going to be neat, especially have your boy around all the sporting and stuff. It seems like, that's the sports world is.
Yeah, he's going to have no choice but to be a sports fan. Hopefully a football fan of that.
Yeah.
But and that's, we want to take him to all these games, and we really want him to just kind of be out in the world, be out and see people and experience things. And that will be just another one of those things he gets to experience, going to games with his dad and going to basketball games, football games with his dad and announcing. And that's just something he'll have to live with.
You think announcing has made you better as an individual, as far as the way I feel like you're probably easier to communicate with now? And in that sense, do you think that translates at all to just like who you are? Have you noticed like anything you think since you started broadcasting in the way like now that maybe certain relationships are easier or like anything like that?
Maybe maybe it's I've met a lot of people through it, and people will come up to me in Walmart and say, hey, you do a great job, appreciate all you do. And so to an extent, and because you got to be pretty open just to announce in general, just to be, you can just from your podcast, like you got to be someone that's willing to open up and just be yourself and talk and
say something goofy.
Yeah, exactly. And I do think over time, because when I first started announcing when I was a kid, I was very trying to be professional and not joke, and just be straight to the point, and that's why I can't listen to old stuff, and it's terrible. But now that I've gotten older and kind of more experienced and comfortable, that's where I want to say some jokes, make people laugh, because that's part of it too. I want people to listen and hear something funny or see something goofy, and then that's all part of it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely enjoyable to listen to. I feel that it's some of the well, you just want you want human reaction.
Yeah.
You don't want to listen to someone that feels like they're reading off of a piece of paper or like they're
you don't want to bore someone to death either. And sometimes I feel like I bore people to death like during a baseball game or something, because baseball is slow. But I want, especially on nights where Carmi's playing Lawrenceville and losing by 40 points, which happened last year, 2 years ago when we played them.
It did.
And so it's just, at the end of the day, these are kids, and it's sports, and that's what's cool about working with these kids now is I can joke with them like, man, you stunk it up last night. I was like, I'm just kidding, shake it off. It's the next game, and that's what I try to do when I announce games. Also, is just have fun with it and have people enjoy, not from just a sports perspective, but try to have a laugh in there as well.
Yeah, as someone that. Yeah, it is. It's really tough for me these days to watch a baseball game on TV. Yeah. No matter who it is.
Yeah.
It just seems like it's so tough. When are we getting the AI umpires in here? These umpires have been, I'm not for just like the complete overtake of AI.
Yeah.
Because people like myself would be, probably without a job. That's the kind of jobs they'd probably attack is someone like myself. But it's, these umpires out here, it seems like if there's any sport that could be the easiest and probably the most precise,
Be baseball.
it has to be baseball, doesn't it?
I think the two-sided aspect of that, is like, think about sports like in the 70s and 80s when there was no instant replay, there was no, and I think just in sports in general, you're going to have bad calls, incorrect calls. And so I think that it's having instant replay is one thing. I know MLB is one to implement something where you can challenge a strike or ball call, which is fine. But I think if you're going to have something that gets the strike call correct every time, gets the ball call correct every time, it's like, I see both sides to it. I see where you're coming from because there are some really bad umpires in baseball right now.
Well, now that you say that, I could kind of see where maybe like hitters, it will become an advantage for the hitter to be able to learn that perfect strike zone. And it's going to do nothing but now your pitchers are being forced to throw inside this perfect zone that the hitter knows exactly where that perfect zone is. So anything outside of that, and these guys are so good at a professional level. I don't know if people quite give total props to these hitters in professional baseball at the way they're seeing this ball coming in at 90 plus. And, however you feel about, I think baseball is one sport. A lot of the time, the hitters, whenever you have these like bang bang calls, strikes not exactly where they, some missed calls. A lot of times these hitters are right.
Yeah.
A lot of times you're seeing, and I don't say that a lot. You see in basketball, these guys, they whine all the time. I got fouled, this, that, and whatever. But like, and a lot of times those guys are wrong. Like in basketball, these guys like, no, you definitely fouled him. No, it was definitely goaltend. It was off the backboard. Like, but in baseball, a lot of times these strike zone calls you're seeing, it's like, I don't know, like. You're not going to tell me that you really know the zone that much better than like Juan Soto, man.
Yeah. So another thing of that, and I might sound like an idiot saying this, but I've always wondered, why is the home plate umpire behind the catcher? Like, think about that. Like, if you are a home plate umpire, which I've umpired like rec league games and stuff, like
it's not easy.
To me, if you want to get a perfect ball or strike call, have an umpire behind the pitcher.
Yeah.
That's going to get you your best view, at least from my perspective. And again, I might sound like an idiot saying that, but to me, because when you're watching a game on a broadcast camera where it's behind the catcher or behind the pitcher, that's where you're seeing, okay, that's a strike, or that was close, that was a bad call.
Well, every time they go to look at it, they always look at it from the other angle. They never go back to behind the catcher to try to see if it was a strike.
I never understood that. That's always just been an interesting thing to me.
Yeah, that is interesting how they look. I don't know if, and it seems like too, you wouldn't be able, like if you're right behind the catcher's head and then you're down like eye level with the catcher, how can you really tell where that ball is even coming into the zone? I mean, you can obviously tell like where, but like as far as like depth wise, if it's an off speed pitch, like how can you even pick up unless it just bounces before? But if you're eye level, like how can you really even tell? It doesn't seem like.
Yeah, but those guys get paid a lot of money.
Yeah, sure. Here I am criticizing these guys, and it just. Yeah, I'm not for it. I think. I think I would like to see some sort of. Yeah, you don't want to turn the game into, because baseball games can already be slow enough, so you don't want to turn these games into 5 hours long now because you're judging every single
checking the review for
falling strikes. But I can't remember which game it was. I was just watching a video of a game a couple days ago. I wish I could remember who it was playing now. But, this umpire, man, he was all over the place. Just some of the worst strikes I had ever seen in my. It was like to the point. It was like someone like check his prize picks, dude. Like somebody get on DraftKings and find this man.
That's a big thing nowadays. Is players doing that. There were just some players that got in trouble, I think, for Cleveland that were, wagering on games. I saw he was a pitcher, and it was like every one of his at bats start with a fastball outside. And it's like, so they're thinking, oh, he's got a wager where, his first pitch ball. I don't know, but that's a big thing nowadays is players gambling.
Yeah, who Well, didn't they just say that wasn't it Shohei's like translator or something was? Yeah. They thought he was like betting on games.
Yeah, that was a big thing. I don't think anything ever happened from it, or I don't know.
Wasn't there another dude that just got arrested like a couple weeks ago? A big name dude that's getting ready to go do a bunch of time for gambling on games. I feel like
I don't know, baseball player.
I thought it was football. I don't remember. Did you see? Speaking,
I feel like it's so common now. I mean, there's so many. It's like every other week, there's someone getting arrested for gambling.
Yeah. What was it? The big argument wasn't it Pete Rose was?
Yeah.
I mean, he was like betting on himself, wasn't he? Like
shaving points and things like that back in the 80s, whenever. But
yeah, whenever everybody was probably using PEDs. And
there's a lot of worse things going on back.
Yeah, these guys are like recreationally probably like using drugs and they're all drinking. Everyone's like smoking cigarettes out on the field, but they're like, no shaving point, you know, like you're not gonna be betting on these games.
Well, that's like the NFL is notorious for this. I mean, there are some guys that do some pretty rough things.
Yeah.
Like I know, like domestic violence is a big thing, and they'll give one of those guys like a 4-game suspension or a 6-game suspension.
Yeah.
Oh, you gambled one time on a game that you didn't play in. That's a year long without pay, and it's like, what are we doing here? Like,
well, it's people start getting upset the moment you start taking money out of their pockets, and we don't care if you hit your wife whenever you guys go home, all right? That's your business, but you're not taking my money.
Can't take the NFL's money.
Yeah, the NFL's money is off limits, but like whatever your guys' marital problems are, I don't want to hear about it. See, that's what it seems like. Yeah. Did you ever see that? I was just watching those guys that were on Prize Picks, and they were betting on Angel Reese to miss her first. Did you watch it?
They made a lot of money off of that.
They made so much money. They went like 10 games in a row.
Yeah. What was it? First or miss her first shot?
To miss her first shot, and it was like 10. And it got to the point I was like, she has to be seeing this on her timeline. Like she has to be scrolling the social media and being like, has to. And every time she catches it, who knows? She's probably betting on herself to miss it. I would have been.
That's a big thing, like with now that sports gambling it's handheld now. Everybody can do it from their phone, and that's where it's become a big thing as far as like DMing players, like call them everything in the book because they needed him to get a base hit to hit your parlay, and they didn't do it, or needed this person to score 10 points, and that's been a big thing of people going on there and giving death threats. Missed my big parlay. I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah, all because of gambling. Yeah, and that's one of the scary things with social media too. Giving some of these people access to be able to even send messages, which these people probably never get but some of them they have to get some of them, and all just because of hitting money. Yeah, some of that stuff gets pretty serious. These people start really losing some money, and next thing you know, it's like a real life or death type of situation. Yeah, I mean, what do you think on what's the Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, dude? The WNBA is up in, the WNBA, it just blows, like, it's like people want to be in support of the WNBA more, and then sometimes they just make it hard.
You're exactly right. And like,
it's like they do it to themselves.
They do. And, like the WNBA hasn't been known to make a lot of money. They just haven't. Like, it just has not been that successful until Caitlin Clark got in there. And I like Caitlin Clark. It's, I think she was really fun to watch in college. But obviously, you can't deny that the success that the WNBA is having is related to Caitlin Clark. And all these players in the league now are pushing her, fouling her, saying bad things about her. I'm like, well, like, you don't have to be best friends with her, but you got to understand it like that. She is the reason why the league is propelling the way it is. And, the whole thing about they want to get paid more. And I understand you want to get more money, but the revenue-wise, they just don't bring it in.
Right. Yeah, I think last year they were negative $40 million or whatever it was.
But then again, Caitlin Clark, she's...
Apparently they're predicted, like, within the next 2 years
to make a profit.
To make a profit.
Yeah, which is awesome.
And that's the thing, like, I used to, whenever I turn on 2K, I play WNBA sometimes, like, I'm not against it at all, but then sometimes they just do and say things, and I'm like,
You're not helping yourself out. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
the Kelsey Plum video during All-Star
Yeah.
Weekend, her making the dig against like that
Yeah.
that comment. It's like,
Yeah.
what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, you guys are acting like teenage girls.
Yeah.
And then are like being confused whenever you're not getting the respect you think you
Yeah.
deserve. But then you like get in front of a mic and just it's like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Like, you realize that like she's gonna be helping you guys all get paid.
And again, I ain't saying you got to be friends with her. And
Sure.
you know, every league, NBA, NFL has their rivalries and whatnot. You can, that's fine. But yeah, there's no sense in talking down on her or trying to hurt her or whatnot.
Yeah, well, and it's like different whenever your league is super successful and worth a ton of money,
Yeah.
and the rivalries are one thing, but it's
Yeah.
like you guys are still kind of like at baby steps here.
Yeah.
Like you're still working towards having that. So like
Yeah.
maybe we should look at this more. It's like you preach community and womanhood in one sentence, and then in the next interview, it's like you guys are just tearing each other apart. And it's like, okay, which one is it?
Yep, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Man, so what sports are coming up? We got football and
volleyball.
Football,
That's kind of the main
volleyball.
thing in
What's
the
that
fall.
looking like for Carmi? What's it looking like?
So
for
football, they'll be young this year. They
Yeah.
graduated a lot last year. 6 starters, played both ways, and so they lost a lot. New head coach because Kurt Simon, legendary coach, he retired. So Clinton
hung it up,
Wolf's-
huh?
Clinton Wolf's the new head coach. He's been an assistant for a long time. Great
Mm-hmm.
guy, good friend of mine. But they're just a young team. Freshman and sophomore class is really strong, really big. So that's kind of, a lot of those guys are going to play a lot this year, and so might be a bit of a learning curve this year. But I think next year, maybe the year after, they'll be talking, conference championship kind of thing.
Right.
And then volleyball, this senior class they've been kind of what's led the way these last couple of years. Couple of girls that will play collegiate volleyball, I'm sure, when they graduate. So they kind of got one last year for them this fall, and so hopefully they can be successful again.
Gotcha. What's basketball looking like? I know, I was speaking. We talked about Mitchell earlier, and I think him at SIC is going to be really good.
Yeah.
I think, because I think physically his capabilities are there.
Yeah.
His size, he can shoot it. He jumps out of the gym. I think he just needs some developmental stuff. And sometimes I just think he needs a little bit more aggression. Just like a little bit more want to. But I think that junior college level, I think he's going to see that that's a really good fit. And I don't know what his plans are. I'm sure he's probably got hopes to try to continue and to go to a higher level. I don't know. Was he looking to go higher level out of high school?
I'm sure he was, but it's
the junior college is taking over.
It's
a whole different.
It's a lot different than what it used to be, and people I think want to like bash on SIC, going there, but I'm like,
Dude, whenever I was in high school, they had some hoopers.
yeah, and the guy, Sam Swinford, he's been the coach there for probably 5 or 6 years, and he's really
he used to be the coach at SI Select, and
he's tried to turn it around, and he's really recruited local kids as well. And I think in Mitchell's perspective, nowadays there's a new rule now that junior college years don't count towards your eligibility, NCAA eligibility. So, in Mitchell's perspective,
huge.
he could leave SIC after his sophomore year and then go play at a 4-year university and have all 4 years, not have to worry about.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's a huge deal. So
yeah, that's a big deal.
He could go to SIC. SIC just had a couple of kids. They had one kid that played for them from Vienna that transferred to UT Martin, so a Division I school.
Yep.
Somebody else I think went to SIU Edwardsville. So the opportunity's there. If he can work hard and get a chance to play early on and just kind of keep developing. Especially we talked about the style of play in college basketball and how it's so much quicker. So if he can really kind of adapt to that, and his size is going to help him too, because you don't see a lot of Andrew Drones running up and down the floor anymore. It's 6'6", 6'6", 6'7". That's kind of your big guys now. So I think that could benefit him pretty well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. That's I think it'll be good. I had a conversation with Randy Bird was on the podcast, and I think he did some work with. I think Mitchell played on his AAU team. And we were talking about it and how, especially now, as far as like, you can get paid at any level now. So if that's something that you're worried about, you can still find these types of endorsement deals through junior college level. I know a lot of people are chasing these higher. They're trying to get NIL deals, and everyone's trying to get paid. And I'm afraid that a lot of people are. I'm glad they opened that up to all levels now. So hopefully it will encourage some of these guys that maybe aren't quite ready to be at a Division II, Division I type of level. It'll encourage them to develop a year or two and get that experience as compared to going and maybe going a little too early. And now you're sitting on a bench for a year or two and your skills are probably getting a little rustier than you would like. And so, yeah, I think that, I think that route, I think it'll really fit him. And I think that if he really works hard and puts the work in, I think that'll be great for him to really fine tune. That was because I said, physically he's got it. He's got it all.
Yeah, he's got the talent. I mean, he's one of the most talented. And it's funny because you could make the argument that basketball is probably his third or fourth best sport. I mean, he won a state
wondered if he
champion.
would. I was like, I wonder if he'll chase like a Division I track.
I think he had talked about it, or maybe looked into it a little bit.
Going that route.
Yeah, I mean, he won state and high jump his junior year, and he was a great baseball player as well. And then before he started focusing on basketball, when he played football, he could sling the ball.
Yeah.
So you can make the argument that basketball was like his third or fourth best sport.
Yeah.
Just shows how athletic of a kid he is.
Yeah. Yeah. Who? Carmi, got anybody up and coming of that magnitude? Or is there anybody on the radar? Or?
When you graduate, him and Gavin Hallman, both those guys were 4-year starters. When you graduate that, it's going to be
a tough season for Gavin, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hated it.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of Sundays whenever I was still living in Carmi up there at Carmi's gym on Sundays, and Mitchell and Gavin were always in there. And so I spent a lot of Sundays playing with those guys and got to talk to them a little bit. I just tried to explain to him whenever I talked to him that I was like, you guys are up here, and you guys need to understand that. So I was like tuning into all those games, kind of like you said, building that connection. I was like, I just wanted to see him do good. And then I know Gavin had a tough senior year fighting injuries, and I was like, shit, man, that sucks.
You're just unfortunate. And I know the team, I think they finished like 15-15, but man, so many of those games, if they would have been full strength, a couple of close losses, could have been a different season. But I know coming up, I mean, they lost quite a bit from that senior class last year. They had 5 seniors, all of which that played a lot. So there'll be some young guys that don't have a lot of experience, and it'll be kind of a learning curve this year. Boys basketball, girls basketball will be pretty good this year.
Will they?
They brought back a lot from last year. That senior class is pretty athletic. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Long time from them to now, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. What's been? I don't know if you've been following along. I heard Mount Carmel's been running through the coaches over that way.
Yeah,
they just replaced another one.
Yeah,
and I thought he was going to probably be there forever. I don't. You probably remember him.
Yeah. He's a stud. A year older than me. I don't know what the details are. I just know they hired Kyle Buss, who Tyler Buss's brother. He's a great guy, great coach, and he'll do some good things there. But yeah, they've kind of had just an example of a school that you have these runs of these 4 or 5 years where you just got these really good athletes, and then every once in a while you just kind of you lose some guys, don't have as much talent. And they kind of had a rough couple last few seasons, but they got some guys coming up, and I know their middle school groups are good, so they'll have some good teams here in a couple of years. Yeah. Carmi doesn't play them anymore, though, because they did play them in the CIT every year.
They don't come to that anymore?
No, because they move conferences, and so what's so weird about the CIT is it's the same week that everybody plays in their conference tournaments. So Black Diamond doesn't have a conference tournament, so like North City.
Yeah, why is that?
They used to have like a shootout kind of thing, because there's the East and the West.
Was everybody just so involved in other tournaments that like... Well, but it's like, I don't know, how much more involved can you be than your conference tournament?
So you can only play in 3 tournaments a year. Right. So everybody has their Thanksgiving tournament, your holiday tournament, and then a January tournament. So
but postseason doesn't count.
No, it doesn't count.
Just in season.
Just in season. Okay. So a lot of these teams, North City, for example, do they play a Thanksgiving tournament anymore? I know they used to go to Grayville.
They used to go to Grayville. I think then they were going to
They go to Hamilton County now.
Yeah, they did. They went somewhere else before that. Was it like Christopher they went to for a couple years?
Yeah.
And then they, I was like, what the hell are they doing in Christopher? But,
so for them, for example, so you have your Thanksgiving tournament, so beginning of the season, then your EHT, and then your conference tournament, which is your third tournament. So like the CIT, if anybody who hasn't known, like the teams are kind of, they're sometimes the competition isn't great, if you will, just because there's not many teams to choose from that can play in that tournament because they're playing in conference tournaments, and the Black Diamond doesn't have one.
So what are all these other Black Diamond schools doing then? Because not all of them obviously come to. At some point, there has to be. Are there teams that just aren't playing during that time?
So I think the only one that isn't playing is Edwards County. They used to be in the CIT. They don't want to be anymore. They want to just play a 1A schedule. There are all the 2A teams in the CIT, which whatever.
Lame.
But and then I know like El Dorado, Johnson City has a tournament, so they play in that. There's a couple teams that go to that. Vienna might go to that also. Fairfield's in the CIT. Hamilton County plays in the Benton tournament. But yeah, it's just as far as like it'd be really cool if like Norris City and Gallatin could join that CIT to kind of give it more of like a local feel, because right now it's Carmi, Fairfield, Harrisburg, Evansville Day School, and Mount Vernon, Indiana. So there's not like a Carmi Fairfield is kind of a local, but other than that, it's not really any rivalries or anything.
Yeah, I would have absolutely substituted the Grayville tournament to play in the CIT for sure, especially back then.
Yeah,
like for sure.
But then again, it's the conference tournament is that same week, and so timing wise, it wouldn't work. And that's where Mount Carmel's gotten into, because they're in the Little Illini Conference now, and their conference tournament is that same week. So, and that stinks because I loved when Mount Carmel was in there. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, it's just in a weird time, and everybody always says, "Well, we need to get better teams in the CIT." Well, you really limited as to what you want to do. If you don't want a team to drive an hour and a half to get there, it's really limited as far as who you can bring in.
I always thought it was an absolute shame that North City never threw any sort of tournament. Never hosted any sort of tournament any time of the year. I always thought that was one of the biggest just wastes of a gym.
That gym is so loud. I'm sure as a player.
Yeah.
As an announcer, that gym is so loud.
It echoes. Yeah. I know they've done a lot. Whenever I was still playing, they didn't have all like the soundboards they have up now. Like none of that was a thing. They didn't have AC in that gym.
Yeah.
Boy, it would get hot in there, and
Carmi's gym doesn't have AC. Some
volleyball
games
sliding all over the place. Just condensation on the floor. You could see it. But yeah, I always just thought, there's just not a lot of gyms that are set up much better to host a big style of tournament than that one is.
And they have hosted some regionals and sectionals.
Yeah, they hosted,
years, which has been great.
They hosted an exciting one whenever I was a junior, the year after I graduated, or my senior year. And Seth Ramsey took in boys to, was it a sectional?
I think it was.
And they hosted that at North City, and he hit that buzzer beater. And I think won that first game of sectionals or something. I remember that one. And then, have they hosted one since then? I know it comes back around, I think, every couple of years.
Either last year or the year before, they hosted a sectional. That was one of the years that Meridian went in there and just dominated everybody. I don't know what year that was.
Ran through. They were tough this year.
Yeah. They've had a couple of good years.
Was this the year? Did they have that kid, the story of the kid that he was older and...
So I think that was
they brought him off the streets.
Not this past year, but the year before they went to the state championship and lost. But they had a kid. I think he was like a 18-year-old freshman, but he was homeless or something. I don't know this, but he was homeless, and they brought him in, and someone was taking care of him and letting him play. But I think he might have ran out of like eligibility, because in the IHSA you can only. I think you can only be like 19 when you play. So I think he's going to a prep school now, maybe, so he can possibly go play in college. But that was a pretty cool story. That's pretty neat. And yeah, they almost won the state championship. I think it was a close game they lost a couple years ago.
Yeah, they was really good my junior year. As juniors, I don't know if they still do, but the coaches used to take all the juniors going into their senior year to the state tournament to watch it. So like going into your senior year. And they had Meridian made it to state that year, and we watched them. I think we ended up getting stuck. We might have played that team my junior year. or maybe sophomore year. I think sophomore year we played Meridian, and they had this dude. I can't remember his name. He was 6'6" or something.
I've heard some story because they used to be in the EHT. And
I played them.
I've heard stories of they would have 6 kids on the team.
Yeah.
And so they'd beat you by 50.
Oh,
you
yeah.
put in your bench and you're still in there playing their starting.
That's all they
five,
had.
and
Yeah.
They're throwing it off the backboard and dunking it.
It was insane, dude. I was only a sophomore, and I'm young for my grade, so I was like 14, 15. And these are like grown men.
My brother-in-law, he told me a story. He was playing for Carmi and EHT. They're beating them by 50, and they puts in the JV team, and he's out there, and this dude pulls up from the volleyball line and makes it. He's like, "What do you want me to do?" It's just like,
yeah. They, gosh, I can't remember this dude's name, but it was like he had this super like lazy jump shot and like shot it from his hip. But man, he was money, and he just sat in the corner, and like he scored all night long from the corner. It didn't matter. Like, and if he couldn't catch it, he would just come out, and then he would dribble you to the corner, and then he would just step back, and he would just shoot it from the corner. I'm like, dude, you need some other, like, what else is there? Like, your ratings everywhere else is down, dude. Like, it was the wildest thing. I forgot that they don't play in that. They started going over Marion or something, playing over there in a tournament.
So,
they were super tough.
they play in Pitneyville. Pitneyville's got a really good Christmas tournament. It's kind of like the
That's a big
EHT, and
tournament.
like Pitneyville's up here because they get a lot of bigger schools.
That's probably one of the best tournaments in the South.
It probably
in
is.
the year.
Yeah, just because the teams there. And again, it's all about your classes, and they've just had some really good teams there that have had some really good groups, which is why it's kind of made a leap above the EHT as far as competition. But it's been some pretty like that. They got like Benton in there. Obviously, Pinckneyville's always
Last
good.
year was wild because of I'm sure you followed along with like the Pinckneyville Benton series throughout the year. It was insane. Docker hit a game winner to win one game, and there was that one game, I can't remember how it ended, but it was just dramatic every single time they played. Which those were, what are how often are 2 of your top teams in the state coming out of an area not too far from here? Dude. Southern Illinois has been kind of slept on. Obviously, Southern Illinois has its teams, of course, but there's definitely been some top level of play that's come out of areas definitely around here. But I tell you what was worse than that. We got stuck my freshman year. I think we had to play was it Owensboro or whoever the hell, one of those teams,
the EHT.
Yeah,
they brought because there for a while I think they had just like an open slot from the 16 teams.
Anyone that could beat Harrisburg.
Well, honestly, it came to that point because it was
Harrisburg. We won.
Harrisburg had won it 3-4 years in a row, and so they were just. I remember Owensboro was in there 1 year. Union County, Kentucky was in there for a couple of years. Maybe they were just kind of swapping teams in and out. But that team from Owensboro had a kid named Eric Holman, and he played at Mississippi State and went to the NBA. Played a little bit in the NBA. I don't think he ever it worked out for him, but that's
him. And they had that lefty, the light skinned guy who's kind of heavier set, and he didn't he go play like I don't know, it's like on the line for Auburn or something. He was like a stud. I think he went to Auburn playing football or something, and he I was like, what is this?
It's and I tell kids this at school all the time because kids get into high school and I want to play Division I basketball, I want to play Division I football. I'm like, that's great. You strive for whatever you can, but if you want to see how tough competition is, drive an hour over to Indiana or an hour south into Kentucky, and you'll really see Division I athletes. And that's just like the competition in Southern Illinois isn't that great when you compare it to what sports are like in Evansville or Henderson, because that's the real deal over there. I broadcasted for Gibson Southern for a year up in Fort Branch. They won the state championship.
Yeah.
And their quarterback was a 4-star recruit that went to Purdue. Now he's at Louisville. And it's like football just 40 minutes east compared to what it is like in
Gibson
Carmi.
Southern still dominates in football.
Yeah, just the difference in what's just such a short drive, the difference in the game is incredible.
Wrights just had a kid. He was a sophomore this year, Jalen Mitchell. Mm-hmm. He 6'7". He was the number 6. He stayed in between like the number 5, the number 7 sophomore in the country all year long. he just got done with his sophomore year and announced he's going to Spire Academy where LaMelo Ball played.
Yeah.
He just won the Peach Jam, which is like a huge AAU tournament. Like the Peach Jam is one of the biggest AAU tournaments of the summer. And he plays for Bradley Beal's AAU team, and like Bradley Beal's like their head coach. Like, you know, like again, like you're just saying, these are guys 30 minutes across the river and are, you know, being coached by NBA players. Top. Bradley Beal's one of the best guards in the game. You know, he's a stud. And, you know, it just shows, and he's 16 or something. He's got offers from every Big Ten school. He just posted he just got an offer from Ohio State, I think, a couple days ago. And we went and watched him play multiple times. And there is just,
It's a lot of talent over here.
There's a difference. You see these guys that, it's hard. It's hard. You said these guys are like, I want to go D1 or I want to do this. And it's kind of hard, you know, and you never want to break anyone's heart. But it's like these guys that are like real deal Division I athletes, they're noticeably Division I athletes from like the age of 14.
Yeah.
Like the way, just going back to Jalen as a reference, as just a sophomore, he just bodied everyone. His core strength, he was stronger. He got in the lane against guys that were just as big as him, and they just bounced off of him. And him not even trying to do that. But it's just like this level of just strength naturally as what it takes to be a Division I athlete is just astronomically higher than just your normal average athlete like myself. You know? Like, it's so much different. And to see the level, it blew my mind. The first game we went to was them against Castle. And, dude, it's just in the city rivalries and, like, these schools hate each other, dude. You're out there getting popcorn and you're just seeing fights getting separated. People are walking by each other and they're just cussing, going at it. But that's just how it is. Like, you better come to – and if you go out there and you're not ready to play, boy, they will you know, you see teams in, you know, Southern Illinois come out with these slow starts. Seems like a popular thing for some reason.
Can't do that over here.
No, you better be ready to go whenever you wake up that morning. Like, there is no slow start. And if you come out and have one possession of a slow start, you're on the bench. And, like, you'll get another chance here in 5 minutes. Like, you better wake up.
And that's what's so unique about Evansville. It's, you know, it's a city. And so you have all these schools that are within a 20-minute radius of each other. And it's pretty unique. Like, it's when I lived over here going to college, I got to experience that a little bit, like as far as kind of the high schools and how it works over here. It's pretty neat to see that. But again, it's always amazed me how a 40-minute drive from Carmi, it's just the competition and the athletes. It has to do a lot when it's bigger population, more jobs over here, and bigger schools. But it's a different world over here.
It puts it in perspective. You know, whenever someone says there's levels to this, you know, it really puts that in perspective. And it's neat too, because whenever you watch these guys play, you know, they're chirping, going at it. Like over there in Illinois, like if you say one thing, you're teed up. And if you look at, I could name me a couple referees, and I won't, but I could. And if you just look at them the wrong way, you're lucky if you don't get thrown out. You know who I'm talking about. But you know, you're lucky you're not watching the rest of that game from the, you know, your broadcast in the locker room. And it just, over here, man, them boys, they'll go forehead to forehead, and they're just jawing.
And it's physical over here.
And they're jawing.
And that's one thing that I like. You know, Mount Vernon, they come play in the CIT. Just the style of play. I mean, Mount Vernon, they're used to, they're fighting, and it's more aggressive, and so they come over to Illinois and with Illinois referees, and they're playing their physical type of ball, and they get so upset when they get all these foul calls. My favorite thing, if you go back and watch one of a broadcast of us playing Mount Vernon, I love giving their fans a hard time.
I remember it. I remember what you're talking about. I was watching it. I know what you're talking
right behind us, and they're always
were unhappy,
chirping, cussing. I'm like, man, we're right here. But I try to have fun with it. But I get where they're coming from, because it's, you know, there's a lot of fouls that probably wouldn't be called a foul in Indiana, but it just
we showed up to our first game out there, and they had this dude had a mouth guard in, and I said, "Is that guy wearing a mouth guard?" I said, "Why is he wearing a mouth guard for? It's a basketball game." And the game started, and I was like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "That's why." And like, you go in and you get bodied, and you like, you're probably not getting a foul, dude.
Yeah, no, I mean,
you're probably not.
A lot of free throws in Illinois.
And if you make the layup, you're not getting a foul.
There's a lot of free throws in Southern Illinois.
You'll see, they'll wait, and they're like, oh, you missed it. They're like, okay, yeah, I'll give you the foul. But it's like, oh, no, you made it. Okay, because we're not going to stop the flow of the game.
Yeah.
We're just going to keep it. And it's wild, too, because you don't see players over here, getting upset about it either.
Yeah.
They're not yet. You don't see a lot of guys getting teed up by refs, because it's a mutual thing. We're just going to let y'all go hard.
Yeah, they're used to it.
Yeah, and that's how it's going to be. And, that was definitely a shock. Just to see those guys, dude, just going at it, jawing each other, no technicals given. It's so fun to watch. But it's not personal. And that's what me and Bradley were talking about. I was like, well, the thing is, these kids probably are neighbors. They go to different schools, but that doesn't mean that they live near that school.
That's what's different is,
these kids really know each other outside of here. They probably grew up down the street from each other.
Illinois, it's you go to school based off where you live. Neighborhood or town wise, and in Evansville, you could live right next to Central High School and go to Mater Dei, or that's just because there's no rules as far as proximity to where you live. You just go wherever you want.
Yeah, I was like, these kids probably, they was out, waiting for streetlights to come on, riding bikes at 10 years old. They've known each other. We watched Jalen. They played Harrison, and they're over here. It's their whatever. They have their sectional championship is Illinois regional, I think. Yeah. And so their sectional championship, and it was Harrison versus Castle, and Jalen and this Sims kid from Harrison, they were going at it. Sims was a stud too, and I come to find out later, I see on social media, they have the same trainer. They train together every night. Yeah. Know each other. So, but out there on the floor,
oh yeah,
dude, I'm at your throat. Never seen anything like it. But yeah, that was definitely a shock, seeing the difference in the way those guys get at it, for sure. But man, anything else you want to add to it, or?
I don't know. I mean, just
Said you guys will come over and get some food. What'd you say?
That's the question. She asked me on the way here, is where you want to eat, and I said, I don't. You know me, I don't make the decision. It's
what kind of food you guys like? You guys seafood, sushi, or?
I don't like sushi. I will never really try good sushi, but we like hibachi. We'll go to Wasabi or Roppongi, one of those two.
Yeah.
When we lived over here, we tried a lot of new places, a lot of different places.
Cool. But, right on, man. Well, I appreciate you coming over and
appreciate you having me on.
Hanging out, no doubt. As for you guys, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you guys are tuning in to all the broadcasts. Carmi White County, you can find them on YouTube and your Facebook page whenever you broadcast all the games. So if any of you guys want to listen to the games live, Cole does. You do a phenomenal job, man.
Appreciate
you really do. You're good at what you do, and I think the whole city of Carmi agrees with that. And I've never heard anything negative about your broadcast. So
appreciate that.
For sure. Make sure you guys are heading over to Hydrate 1-2 IV Therapy. Get your guys' IVs scheduled. Briley will come right to your house, get those IVs taken care of for you. On the Sutton Sanctuary Podcast. You can find us on YouTube and Spotify. As always, thank you guys for watching. I love you. Peace.